I'm going to do something I haven't done for a while. I'm going to do a demo and talk while I'm painting this. It's not really so much a demo as a challenge. I'm in a pastel group and we do challenges. This is the challenge that I've chosen. Well, the challenge is painting green without using green. So I'm going to try that. I've chosen this. I have edited the photo slightly to really push it into more of the yellow bend of the spectrum. I am on a dark paper. I am throwing in my darks, and to place these different poppies, let me see, yep. I am just throwing in some dark areas of the under shadows in the poppies to place them. And if you notice already, I've rearranged. This is this one. So that's going to be quite large. This one down here. And then this is this tall vertical one. I'm going to put that up there. I've got a little one down here, and I've got one running off the edge. I have left out that one in the background. I want a more simple composition. And because we're artists, we can leave things out. It's easy. Now I'm trying to decide where to place that fifth one that leads off the page. I don't like it here. I think I'm going to stick it over in this area. It just feels nicer there. And it's not going to be as large as that one. I'm taking an approach that Tara Will uses in her workshops. If you don't know Tara Will's work, you should check it out because her strokes are bold and strong, and she makes a decision and she puts it down and then lives with it. I love that. I'm always trying to work toward things that are a little more direct, more approachable, not overstated. Not overworked. So as I'm laying in some darks, I'm thinking, how can I keep this as simple as possible? I'm going to take my palette and just take my rag and fold it up so that it covers up the greens on my palette. I won't even look at those. But I don't want to use just blue and yellow to make green. I'm thinking using blues and oranges, which are actually complements. I mean, that will neutralize it, but it will also add more of a depth to the green. It has to be the right blues and the right oranges to make this work. And I don't have a lot of oranges in my palette. All right, so let's get the background in there. I'm going to go with a neutralish blue, too light. That's better. This actually seems more like purple, but I want those leaves in the background just to be faded in back there. So I'm going to do something I hardly ever do, and that's blend. Look at me blending this stuff. Okay. I loved these poppies. They were backlit. I was walking one day past a house and they were gorgeous. I've done a painting of these poppies and the house and the trees behind, but for this painting, I'm just kind of focused down simply on that. So now let's bring some blues toward the foreground in the leaves and areas of the foliage around the poppies. It's not all poppy foliage. There's a different plant toward the back. Judicial placing is important. I'm not just going all over. I'm thinking about where these leaves are in relationship to the poppies. I have to keep track of which poppy is where since I've moved them around a bit. And also tying my colors together throughout the painting. Notice I've added a little of this blue up into the background to pull it together. I also check to see if this is a kind of an interesting design of the blue. Here, I'm going to hold this blue out on a paper towel right there so I can get back to it. That is in a warm blue family. I'm going to get another dark warm blue to vary the color. And right now it looks kind of green, but it's actually blue. The only reason it looks green, I mean, if I hold this up against a green, let me get a neutral green. See how blue that is? But when I put it on here, it looks kind of greenish because in comparison to that other blue. But it's not. Okay. I'm going to tie this together a bit. I think I'll keep that one out too for future use. Now, one way that Tara does is she lays in her darks and then she has a technique where she says it's time to turn on the lights. So she goes dark and medium, and she defines clearly your shadows, your composition with her darks. And that's what I'm trying to attempt here. Then, in not a final stroke, but closer to the end, she will pop in her lights. And it's so true. You see this, you watch. As you see this, when I put in those lights, it will turn on the lights. It is such an exciting approach. I like this purple. This again, I'm emphasizing the shadows that are on these poppies. This one's not quite open yet. Just gently down here and a little on this guy. Tying them together. Kind of good composition. Purples, I try to take each element on its own and make sure it's an interesting thing. If I took everything off from this painting, except this purple right now, would that create an interesting design? Constantly thinking about this. This is great. I'm getting pastels on my hands already, and I need to pull up my sleeve, and I have a light sweater on, so that's okay. Next, I need another deep red, so I have a good idea where I'm going with these shadowed areas. Still kind of shadow, but not the darkest shadows. And I'm defining the form. I'm trying to think of the leaf as it comes up, the petal this way, a little bit of a petal that way. I don't want to bring this deeper red up to the top. That will lead the eye right off the corner, and I want to keep it down in this area. I'm going to add some red to these stems as well, just for interest. Okay. Petal. Again, I don't want it leading off this edge. I will soft focus that and soft focus this a bit. Set that out for use later. That is really dynamic right now. It's an exciting little painting by itself. Now I'm going to add in some more blues in the background. And notice I have not yet layered in any yellows. I need to double check to be sure that I'm in the similar value. Here I am comparing to the green, definitely in the blue family. a little more neutral. Following the contour of these flowers as I go. Need some of that off there. I blend a little bit, not much, just to set those back a little. Step back. Always step back from your painting so you can see what it's doing. We get too objective if we get close all the time. One thing I notice is that even though in my photo, if you look at this, in my photo these leaves are straight across, it's not interesting. So I want to change that to make the background a little more interesting. I'm going to pull that swish up into there. Yeah, that works a little better. Yay! I like it when it works better. All right, I'm going to get a deep blue because I want to add in some poppy buds. And I need to place this judiciously again. Let's get one right here. Now I'm going to use a stroke where I take the corner of one of these, the lower corner of this pastel, and I'm going to tilt it so it's following the basic shape of that bud. So what I did is I took and I went this way for the base of it, and then I added a little peak at the top. And then I'll put a highlight over on this other side, and that's kind of the shape of a poppy bud. It's not hard to do. Throw some down in here. I might be pretty close. All right. Now I have to think. I really have to think. I'm going with an orange yellow to kind of green down those blues. And I'm going to keep the red yellow for more in the flowers. I want something that's in a yellow mid value like this, which will be, I mean, it looks brown, but that's in the yellow family. That looks pretty bright. This is my yellow family. Let's try this. And I'm just glazing, just lightly glazing. And if I step back, it starts to look a little more green. This is one of my homemade. I gotta be careful here. This might work. I have to be super, just whisper light with this one because it is quite intense and I don't want it taking over. If I find that it is taking over, and here I'm blending not everything, just here and there, blending off and on. See how it starts to look green. Yes. And again, I'm not really using yellow. That's not really a yellow. It's kind of a deep ochre yellow. Heading toward the orange side. Again, here I am looking for colors that can go. That's too, look at that. I just hold that up and the comparison with the blue that's beside it, it is just too high in value. This is more, now that looks kind of green compared to everything, but let's hold it up to the green. Nope, that's on the yellow side. definitely yellow. I don't want to cover up all that blue because it's going to add a nice accent against the orange poppies. I'm adding just enough of this yellow to make it seem a little more green. Doesn't have to be super green. Just a hint of green. Okay. Looking back, I want to bring the poppy buds out a little bit more. I have this great dark green that I am so tempted to use, but I am not going to. I am going to go, this is my eggplant. I don't use eggplant very often, but that will help. See how that's bringing out some of those poppy bud shadows. You guys should try this. As I've said before, talking and painting at the same time is not easy. Not everyone can do it, and I don't always do it well. So have great respect for those artists that will do live demos and talk while they're painting. Look at how that's bringing that together. I have tied together some of these poppy buds, shadows in the poppies themselves. Stepping back, it is still quite blue, so I want to glaze it a little more with some more something in my yellow-orange family. Let's try this. That looks pretty yellow-orange. Just glazing over. By glazing over these microscopic particles, here's the blue particles, and then you glaze over with the yellow particles, and the blue still sparkles through. And as we step back, our brain will combine and blend those, so you don't have to do all the blending on the paper. Our brains will do it, and it makes it more exciting if it's not totally blended. Because our eye will dance with the painting in and out. Also, if we blend, what happens is these microscopic pastel particles that are sitting on top of each other, they're little pieces almost like mica, and they're sitting there. If you blend it, you're going to push them down. If you spray it, you're going to flatten them out. That is going to reduce their translucency, their reflectiveness, and the luminosity of the painting. I am looking for this, but a little more grade. Something in the same value and something a little more grade. I think this might do it. And now I'm glazing that blue over the orange. So I've created an extra layer of peeking through. Ah, the magic of pastel. So exciting. So versatile. I haven't done any wet wash here. I could easily do that. Bring it down. I don't know if I want to do that here. I'm going to keep this dry, I think. I'm just thinking right now. Since I used the dark purple for the buds, I'm going to keep in the purple family to add highlights on those poppy buds. And we don't have to spell it out exactly the same shape, or the, oh, that's kind of a poppy bud, but not really. It doesn't really, well, it doesn't matter if it really looks like it or not. It's indicated as being so. And again, you need to leave things in the painting so the viewer can enter the painting and become involved in its interpretation. If you spell everything out for the viewer, all they're coming to is like a photograph, a finished image, and they're not as involved. They're like, oh, what a nice image, and they move on. We want them to become emotionally and mentally, creatively involved in the painting. And to do that, it's best to leave some things not totally finished. Now I'm going to play with some lines because it just feels like fun. Stepping back. I can't step back too far with this microphone. I can step back behind the camera and see what that's doing. All right. See how value-wise that is just too light. And now I'm looking for something a little more like that, but in a gray, a warm gray. Too light again. Amazing how it looks in your palette, and then you put it up on the painting, and it just looks totally different. Maybe something in the red family back here. That was because my pastel was not clean, and it picked up some white that was on that paper. My little test paper over here. Time to switch that out. All right. Just for fun, I think I'm almost ready to turn on the lights. I want to check this blue. I really like this blue as a foil for that beautiful red that's going to come in there. And I want this to S through the painting. See how it kind of comes through. All right, now let's turn on the lights a bit. Funny, as I'm looking at my pastels, I don't see a red that I really want, something that's super bright enough. So I'm going to start with kind of a purple, pink, because even though it's basically red, everything reflects each other. This red is reflecting something that's over here. This red is reflecting what's around it. Light is always moving and bending through and around objects, and when something has a color, the light reacts to that. Poppies are beautiful. They have this very papery petal. That goes off like a little piece of paper. A little down here, so you know that that's a poppy too, but lighter. See how much lighter I'm putting that in. Looking for a good cad red. This is about it. Have to be very smart with this one. I've started flat and then I twisted it. Think ahead for your strokes so that they're bold and they make the statement you want them to make. This here, that pink edge, and it's going to come down. I'm going to drag and twist this. Drag and twist. Okay, I've done something to my iPad here. Little glaze up there, and it's going to catch the light right here. Little light catching. Petal in behind, catching the light. I want this to catch some light. And bum bum bum. I want to see, I'm not sure how this pastel is going to react on top of what I just set down, so I'm going to try it somewhere else first, off to the side. Oh yeah, no, looks pretty good. Regular marks to indicate that ruffled edge of those oriental poppies. Yeah, look at that. That's fun. Bright. I need to bring some down into this one, but again, I need to keep it soft. Indicate that it's poppy, but not allow it to rival the upper ones. I want to act like this is just, the petals are just beginning to poke through on a couple of these buds. If you've had poppies, it's really cool how that happens. The green is just around it, and then a little cadmium red peeks through and pops out of that flower. I am now looking for something soft enough, and I don't think that's very soft. This one is soft, I know, because I made it. And I want to catch the edge for the light. Do not overdo a good thing. If it's working, do some and then leave it. Where do I want this? I want the light here, flow there. I think I want some here. I'm going to follow the edge of that red as here. No, I don't want it there. I'll do it here and here. Thinking of a single petal. Now I need to step back because I don't want this to get overworked. Not very green are those orange, those blues are not very green. So let's layer that a little more. Green it down. Again, I could blend this all over, but I don't want it. I want some of that shine and sparkle coming through. And I need some orange that's just going to pop. Soft enough orange. I'm feeling, it's not that. I actually need I'm starting to blend in some surface marks instead of just the flat side of the pastel. Adding texture, some interest. Reflected light from that poppy over to this bud that's opening here. And I am again realizing I don't have many like bright reds in my palette. Perhaps this one. When the poppy comes out from the stem, it has this rounded area at the base. I want to get some of that in. I'm going to go back to this deep red. Bring in some more shadows that have kind of lost. They got a little bit lost under a lot of what had happened on top of them. And that purple. All right, this is getting overworked, so I'm going to step back now. Not exactly what I had in mind, because I'm realizing again, I just don't have a red that is vibrant enough. I think I bought some at IAPS last spring, and it is in a box in storage right now because I want to do an expose. I want to bring that out and just have some fun with it. That and some of the others that I purchased there. The important thing is that I did some painting. It's not a masterpiece. It's not my favorite. Working with those greens. I mean, I could easily add more yellow into the blue to make it more green, but I like it this way. I like it a little different. Not something you would typically say when, oh, let's mix yellow and blue and make green. I'm trying to push it off into a little bit more of another direction. So I think if we squint down, you can see it kind of does that. It's kind of off there in that green area. Yeah, it looks greenish. Anyway, have fun. Stay dusty, my friends. That's the important thing. Try to keep it off your face.